Hello, do you remember this?
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood, a neighborly day for beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I have always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood with you, so let's make the most of this beautiful day. Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Would you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Won't you please? Won't you please? Please won't you be my neighbor? My neighbor?
I know you remember that. In today's movie, we're talking about a new movie by Tom Hanks called A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. And we'll be right back after you watch this.
A lot of people that have gone into the making of this movie, many people, and they all work very hard because making movies is hard work, but it's also an awful lot of fun. Would you like to see how a movie is made and all the people that go into the making of it? Well, Picture Picture has a film that shows just how hard a work it is and also just how many people it all takes in order to make a movie just like this one. You want to see it? Well, let's take a look on Picture Picture.
This is our first day on our neighborhood set. That's Tom Hanks right over there, wearing the same sweater. I wore this as an homage to Fred. It's a very exciting day.
And A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood was Mari laying down what the philosophy of the movie was going to be. I just knew that she was coming at this with this is the red dot of what this movie is. I said, great, I'm in.
I feel like the first thing people say to me when they hear that I was making this movie was, oh God, don't ruin my childhood.
I think the fit of this script and Mari Hello couldn't have been chosen better. The marriage of the two, it's perfect.
I had met Mari a while back. I was at a party. She was a director. I said, oh, there was just a really interesting article in the New York Times Magazine about women directors. And she said, yeah, I know, I'm one of them. I said, oh, so, open mouth, insert foot.
Thanks for the chat.
There are so many strings to her bow. She has language, visual, storytelling, emotion.
The feeling is almost like you're making fun of him at first. Like when we first look over, we're like, oh, they think he's funny, like they're too big. And then you start singing.
She's exciting to work with and calming at the same time. Quietly, she sort of moves these surreal or sort of fantasy aspects, and still it stays grounded and still it stays truthful and honest.
I kind of always imagined I would just make movies about women. And then when I read this script about these two men, I just felt so compelled to make it. And I would joke that Mr. Rogers is the only man who could make me want to make a movie about men.
It's really incredible to see her process, working with each individual actor, working through the characters, through their arc, through their journey, from small moments to big moments.
But if you can all kind of slow down your eating, take a moment.
To make the movie, we really pulled from the best of the best.
Mari, she has a fabulous team. All the DP and everybody that was on it was just award-winning, and we're wonderfully in tune.
Great cut!
All right.
Oh, Wardy!
When Tom Hanks came on board, and we were like, oh wow, this is great. We've got Tom Hanks. And then once we figured out that, we could then figure out what the rest of the cast was.
Casting of Matthew as Lloyd was critically important because it's Lloyd's story.
Bill was right. You love people like me. Broken people.
Oh dear, I don't think you were broken.
We find him at a little bit of a crossroads in his life, in that he's trying to figure out a number of things, trying to deal with a number of past familial issues that keep just shackling his progress as a human being.
Your mom and I hardly knew each other when she got pregnant, but we were babies, huh?
Don't talk about her.
It's not the same. Don't talk about my mom! Come on!
Matthew Rhys off screen is a very lighthearted, sarcastic, fun person.
Get too lightheaded.
But the second the cameras are rolling, he's able to just throw himself so deeply into that character.
He just has a connection to his emotions that is really deep, and I'd seen it in The Americans, and when meeting him, I felt like he's not afraid of showing the less pretty side of humanity.
Matthew brings this quiet intensity I've learned with him. You can see him thinking and tracking the journey of his character a lot.
You didn't hear him.
You were out of control.
He was out of control.
You're just not going to take responsibility for any of this.
Of course I am. I offered to pay for Lorraine's dry cleaning.
Andrea's also a tricky role, and it was sort of the thing with the script that I worked with the guys the most on, was making her role feel more complete and her reactions to her husband more full.
I think his presence is what she wants the most. For him to want to spend time with not only the child, but with, as a family. She knows it's hard.
You used to be on my side.
I am telling you this because I am on your side. Now is not the time to go to work.
Susan needed to do a lot of emotional heavy lifting in a lot of ways. She needed to be incredibly smart, incredibly kind, and yet strong, and feel like somebody who, when her husband is not treating her as well as he should, she stands up for herself, and yet she also has compassion for him.
Andrea needed to be loving, frustrated, and at times combative and equal to Lloyd. And Susan does that very effortlessly.
Admit it. Now you wish we hadn't eloped.
He's drunk.
Well, he can sing.
I don't think I've ever played anything quite like Jerry. This character seemed like the Las Vegas Rat Pack wannabe.
Hello, Jerry.
Oh, come on. You don't have to call me Jerry. Call me Jerry. I don't care.
My line about Jerry was always, he's the kind of guy that if anyone met him, like when they meet him at the wedding at the beginning of the movie, they'd go, "Man, your dad's so cool." And your response would be, "If he's not your dad, he is."
Doll, could you give us a moment?
She's not a doll. She's a public interest attorney.
Was there money in that?
Chris Cooper is just another titan of the cinema screen. What he's done with the part kind of blew me away, because I hadn't realized how transformational he is as an actor. He's kind of stunning to watch.
Chris just understood deep down who this guy was, and I think always what I look for in actors is somebody who finds the empathy and doesn't judge their characters. And man, Chris just doesn't judge this guy at all. He finds everything about him to love. And in turn, we love him also.
You're here because Fred wants you here. He likes everybody, but he loves people like you.
I played Bill Eisler in the film. And Bill is a real human being.
I am Bill Eisler. I used to be the president and CEO of the Fred Rogers Company.
The idea of casting Bill was to me very daunting, and it's been funny because Enrico does not resemble Bill all that much, but he has his essence, and he really has Bill's sort of dryness that he does a really good job at.
Any character I play, I'm going to bring me. I don't know how you can separate the two. The good thing is that Bill and I have that sense of humor.
Rico and the real Bill Eisler became friends, and Bill Eisler's wife, Marty, calls Enrico the better Bill now.
She said, he's nicer than you and he's more handsome than you. So, this is what happens.
We stole Bill from the governor's office 14 years ago. You've got a chance to know him yet?
Love Bill, big fan.
Mrs. Rogers, she's a remarkable woman. So for me to have the opportunity to try to portray her just the fire in her, the joy of life that comes out of her. It's quite a thrill for me.
So, how does it feel to be married to a living saint?
There was this sort of weird duality happening on set all the time where the real people were meeting our version of those people. For them, it was probably so surreal.
There's a scene in the movie where Fred takes Lloyd to the Chinese restaurant, and he says,
let's just take a minute and think about all the people who loved us into being,
what if we populated that restaurant with people who Fred loved? Hedda Sharpin, who worked on the show from day one, Joanne Rogers, his widow, Margie Whitmer, who was the producer of the show for many, many, many years, David Newell, who played Mr. McFeely, Speedy Delivery, Bill Eisler, Fred's right-hand man and partner, and there's Marty Eisler, Bill's wife, who was, a dearly close person to Fred.
The whole staff of the show and WQED are all these people who were part of the Fred Rogers neighborhood are there.
For most people, when they see that scene, they'll have no idea. Those will just look like a bunch of extras. But for those of us who know and love those people, it's really special.
I think Fred would like this very much.
Thank you for doing that with me. I feel so much better.
And roll sound.
Shot it at WQED on the same stage that he shot. We actually had some things that were from the original show that were still there. The glockenspiel that plays, the little tinkly thing. And many of his lighting guy was still there. Many of the people were still working at WQED.
On the original show, I was the lighting director. The movie was actually pretty lucky to find the same studio, the same lights as the original series.
It was pretty lo-fi. They had the same sets for 40 years and the same curtains, and part of Mr. Rogers' whole mission was it needed to stay familiar to kids, so it couldn't change. So we had to capture that perfectly.
It's been so incredible to recreate that set. Just bringing Fred's world to life has been magical. I used to watch this show as a kid. There's a wealth of information here in Pittsburgh. We were looking at a lot of photos, but only pieces of it. So we had to kind of make up a lot of it.
And this is the neighborhood of make-believe that we've recreated. For this particular set, what was good is that several of the pieces actually exist at the Senator John Heinz History Center in downtown Pittsburgh, specifically the castle and the tree. So we were able to measure those. The rest of the set, for the most part, we had to replicate based on looking at old episodes of the show.
One of the best movie experiences ever has been watching the neighborhood of make-believe and Fred's house come together, because it's something we spent so much time looking at and figuring out how we're going to do it, and it's just so exciting.
We'll see how magazines are made.
Very nice. Cut.
Got it.
Close.
Matching the colors was tricky just because the pictures are taken on different film stock and the fading of time.
The colors was a lot of experimentation, again, looking at episodes on the show. We did have access to some pieces, but the pieces that are remaining are also very old, so those colors would have aged. So we sort of punched everything up just a little bit, made it a little more vibrant, as it probably was in the day. Here we have the trolley bridge. We fortunately had access to the original model and actually replicated almost every part exactly as it was, including the trolley tracks, which are brass.
We built it the same way they did. That was really important to us. Okay, well, the castle's there, you know the tree's there, and there's the clock, and then also they're puppeting here. So the way you build, it has to be the right way so that Fred would have been able to get in there and actually puppet.
I can stop when I want to, can stop when I wish.
I walked into the same studio where we did 50 years of work, and it was like a time warp. They did an excellent job of recreating down to the pictures on the wall.
It was such a good job. Usually in movies they cut corners, and in this one they didn't at all. It looks exactly like Fred's set.
We were all really surprised. It's just been overwhelming.
Yeah.
To be able to do this in Fred's hometown, to be able to do this where the neighborhood was produced, where it was created, this has been a great experience for all of us.
It's been amazing. The city has embraced us in such an extraordinary way. Look, I live in New York. I don't think there's a better place in the world to make movies, but Pittsburgh is the best place in the world to make this particular movie.
This was Fred's place. He helped to found WQED. He grew up right outside of Pittsburgh, and this really was his home. This was his neighborhood, so it's quite appropriate to have it being filmed here in Pittsburgh.
We all felt a huge amount of pressure to make the people who really had worked and dedicated their lives to Mr. Rogers' neighborhood proud. We just wanted to do them proud.
I hope you know that you made today a very special day by just your being you. There's no one in the whole world like you, and I like you just the way you are.
I feel in this moment in time like we need his messages more than ever. We need his messages of kindness more than ever, of compassion. I need his advice on how to cope with the world.
We are trying to give children positive ways to deal with their feelings.
I think most people, when they think of Fred, don't think of him having that kind of influence on adults. But he's as powerful with grown-ups as he is with children.
Well, in many ways, you can deal with your feelings.
Like what?
Well, you can play the lowest keys on a piano all at the same time. He gave everybody a fair shake. Anybody who visited his neighborhood, there were absolutely no preconceived notions of what they wanted or what their motivations were. It was just like, oh, how nice to see you. That's a fair shake. I don't think anybody can grow unless he really is accepted exactly as he is.
The simplest message is you just have to be nice to other people, and that's it. And I think if people take that away from this movie, then so much so the better.
That was wonderful.
I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did when I watched it the first time. I thought it was a very lovely picture. Of course, Tom Hanks never fails to impress. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood ran from 1968 to 2001. Unfortunately, Fred Rogers passed away on February the 27th, 2003. His full name was Fred McFeely Rogers. Now, the Mr. McFeely character was named after Fred Rogers' middle name. He had a degree in music, a degree in divinity, and was married with 2 kids, a Presbyterian minister, received a Lifetime Achievement Award in 1997, followed by a TV Hall of Fame award in 1999 and a Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2002. When you mention the name or anything to do with Mr. Rogers, everybody, it's instant recognition, as you instantly recognize the song I played at the beginning of this video. Of course, I hope you'll go up and pick a copy of the film up, filmed in 2019, starring Tom Hanks, directed by Merrill Heller, I believe that's the way it's pronounced. Don't shoot me if I mispronounced it. I'm sorry. I hope you, like I say, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll pick a copy of it up. It is a wonderful picture, and I enjoyed it immensely. I know you will too. And it's a nice movie to add to your collection. Until next time, have a wonderful day in the neighborhood.